Welcome back, everybody, or if this is your first time, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about my 7 favorite lenses for the Micro Four Thirds system. Full disclosure, I did work for a dealer that sold Micro Four Thirds gear. Started about 11 years ago, quit about 5 years ago. It's been a while, but I did once work for a dealer and I probably got some good deals on some of this gear. At this point, most of the gear that I'm going to show you is less expensive used than I paid for it new, even with the discount. So I don't think it's affecting my holding on to it at all. But if you have a concern about that, you've been briefed. And for people that have been watching my channel for a while, you've noticed the black background is now a green background. Decided to start playing with green screens just a little bit. And not having great luck with coming up with backgrounds that work just yet. I've been experimenting with stuff like this. And I think it's just a little too loud for what we're doing here, so I'm going to switch back to just solid black. And before I amuse myself with the green screen anymore, let's get into it. We're going to look at these 7 lenses, and I have either photo or video or both examples for all of these. First, we're going to take a look at my 12mm Rokinon. This is a wide-angle budget prime. It's a 12mm f2 aperture, and they are really cheap. I picked mine up for under $100. I think right now they're going for about $165 online. If you have a local dealer, check there first, particularly if they don't sell a lot of Micro Four Thirds stuff. The dealer that I went to doesn't sell a lot of Micro Four Thirds, so I was able to pick this up really cheap. They had it on the shelf for a while and were interested in getting rid of it. They are manual focus only lenses. I use mine for time lapses mostly, so that isn't a big deal for me. We'll have an example here in just a second. The footage I get off of this lens is pretty sharp. Here is a time lapse that I shot recently on a long-term project that I'm working on, and I think it looks pretty good. Next, we're going to look at my 14mm Panasonic 2.5. This is a tiny little lens. It's one that I got for doing an everyday carry camera. Here it is on my little EPL6. You can see that this will easily fit into probably a jacket pocket, easily into any kind of camera bag, or I've got a little sling bag that I carry around with me everywhere, and it drops in and barely takes any room at all. As they say about cell phones, the camera that you have with you is the best camera, and this comes with me a lot. This little camera was converted to infrared. Not all lenses play really well with infrared, but this one does. A downside of this lens is it's not very fast to focus and is certainly not the sharpest lens in the world. But it's pretty bright at 2.5. They're really cheap. If you go to big online retailers, it looks like right now these are about $160 used. And it's just a good little lens to carry around. Here's a couple of infrared shots that I took with this lens just walking around a park. I wasn't even going out to do photography. It was just a nice day for a walk and I had the camera with me. So kind of reinforcing that point. This is so small, there's just really no reason to not have a camera with you unless you're going somewhere that doesn't allow cameras. Next, we're going to look at probably the most versatile lens in this group. And this is a lens, this is the reason I'm recording on not nearly as nice lens. Right now I'm using a kit lens to record this because the 12-40 is what I use to record most of my video work. All of my talking head shots for this series have been done with this lens. It's a really sharp lens, it's really versatile, and importantly, it's weather sealed. We get all sorts of weather here. It's super, super cold right now. The spring will be very, very wet. We get a lot of rain in the spring. We'll get thunderstorms, tornadoes. In the summer, it can get very, very hot, and then it kind of repeats. Having a weather-sealed lens means you can shoot a lot more, particularly if your camera is also weather-sealed. And one of my favorite features of this lens is this little manual focus clutch. If you're shooting in autofocus and it's grabbing the wrong thing, it's real easy. Just snap this clutch back, and all of a sudden you're in manual focus mode. And if you have your manual focus aids turned on in the camera, it's really fast to dial in your focus and get a picture taken. I use this lens on a lot of projects. This clip that we're about to look at was shot with this lens at a park near here last summer. This 12-40 runs about $370 to $450 online from a used retailer. So next we're going to look at my 17mm Olympus 1.8. This is the original version of that lens, not the new one released by OM Systems. I think the new one comes with weather sealing. This original lens did not have weather sealing. But it's really sharp, it's really small, and I really like this focal length. This is a good street photography lens for me, or just a general walking around lens. Before I got my 14mm Panasonic, this was my everyday drop it on a small camera and throw it in a bag solution for a lens, and it just made it so I could carry a really great lens with me more often. I mentioned a little bit ago, it is super cold here right now, and had an opportunity to go down to our local zoo, which is normally packed, but because of the cold temperature, I had it pretty much to myself. And I got to wander around with this and shoot inside when it was built, and it might still be, it was the largest indoor desert in the world. It was kind of fun to walk through with nobody else there. I shot the inside of the dome, one portion of it here, and then got a nice shot through glass of a black mamba. Scary snake, but not so bad when it's in a cage. And I think these are both really sharp. The 17mm lens is about mid-200s used from any of the big retailers online that sell used gear. Next, we're going to look at my 60mm Olympus 2.8 macro. This is a great lens. It's sharp, it's super versatile. Like the 12-40, this one is weather sealed, so you can use it in a lot of situations where you might not want to bring out another lens. You can do everything from portraiture to macro work with this lens, and it works really good. When I got my new green screen, I was playing with ideas for backgrounds, and this one didn't make the cut because my wife thought it was too weird. But here's a short little video of my eyeball looking around, which is maybe sharper than pleasant, but it illustrates how sharp the lens is and how well it autofocuses. This is a picture of the thin film interference on a soap bubble surface. Really sharp. These are kind of fun images to shoot. I may do a video on this at some point. They're kind of a challenge. Once you get it figured out, they're not so bad. These lenses run, give or take, about $300 right now from the big retailers online as a used lens. Next, we're going to look at the 75mm Olympus 1.8. This is a tack sharp lens for the system. It's likely the sharpest lens that I have. It's a prime and it's a portrait prime, so those tend to be pretty good. This is another lens. It's not quite as versatile as some of the others in the group. It's not weather sealed. It's really kind of a portrait specialist, but I have used it for wildlife. I brought it with me on that trip to the zoo that I mentioned here just a few minutes ago. It's great if you need shallow depth of field, and it kind of proves wrong that people think that you can't get shallow depth of field with a micro four thirds lens. This certainly can. I'll demonstrate that in just a second. So when I was walking through the desert dome, I saw this little owl, and believe it or not, there's a chicken wire fence between me and it. The depth of field is so shallow, it just kind of ignores that there's something between the subject and the lens, and I think this looks really sharp. And I'm not sure what the second little critter is. I'm sure there was a sign next to it, but it caught my eye. I kind of ran up to the front. There's a second one right behind it. And again, I think this is really sharp. And not really what the lens was designed for, but in this setting, I was close enough and it worked really well. This is probably the most expensive lens on the list used. They're still fetching mid 400s to about 500. If you do a lot of portraiture, it might be worth it for you. And finally, we've got the 40 to 150 kit lens from Olympus. It might be strange for that to be on my favorite list, but there's a couple of reasons. One, it's super cheap. They come with a lot of kits, and if you have it, you might as well use it. It's reasonably sharp for a kit lens. Is it as sharp as the 75? Very much no, or the 60 for that matter. Those are much sharper lenses, but it's sharp enough for a lot of work, and it's tiny. I can throw this in a kit. I'll show you at the end here one of my small backpacks with a ton of gear, and this lens fits very easily into most cases. You can throw it in just in case you need a telephoto lens when you're not anticipating needing that kind of reach. And in addition, it plays with infrared really well. So with my infrared camera, the footage we're about to look at is from the zoo last year. I was doing a project where I wanted to kind of shock people by flipping back and forth between color and infrared, and it worked good enough. That little EPL6 does not have good video specs, so some of the roughness here is the fact that it's a really low bitrate, but it was sharp enough and it looked good in the final product. Okay, as promised, here is a top-down shot of a really small backpack that I have. It's really designed, it's more, up here is non-photo stuff. It's great for hiking, or if you were taking a class or something. It's got a lot of room for non-photo gear. And then a little tiny compartment for photo stuff. And to give you an idea how small this backpack is, it's my cell phone. It's just a little bit bigger, maybe the size of a phone and a half. Let me show you how much gear we can get in here. First, I'll drop in my little tiny infrared camera. Then my back up to the camera that I'm actually filming with. One lens, two lenses, and there's actually quite a lot of room in here. I could probably squeeze something more in if I had it in its own bag to protect it from bumping into something else that's already in there. So that's 4 lenses and 2 cameras in a bag that's hardly wider than my cell phone is tall. There are a lot more options out there for lenses for micro four thirds. Last I checked, there's well over 100. So you have a lot of options depending on what it is that you shoot, but those are ones that I'm super familiar with because I own all of them. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. And I really appreciate it if you'll like or subscribe. Helps me get this channel going and get more viewers. My name's Jeff. I'm a full-time visual artist, photographer, and videographer, and I make content a lot like this. I've got some tutorials, some gear reviews, and some just philosophical things that I've learned as I'm working my way through my art career. Good luck in your photography or videography, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.